So one guy that has played really well is first round pick Mason Graham, fifth overall pick. Kevin Stefanski talked about what he's seen from him so far throughout training camp.
Yeah, he's grown in a bunch of areas. I think physically and what his body looks like, his strength, his quickness, all those things. I think mentally, obviously, very good grasp of what we're trying to do. I think defensive tackles are going to show up more in games and live settings and those type of things, more so than out here in practice. So he's done a really nice job, and it's a matter of this idea that these guys are finished products is just crazy. So he's a rookie. He's going to continue to get better and through just sheer hard work and taking it day by day.
What do you think of Graham? Well, I know you liked him coming out, but by all accounts, he's kind of taken. It's a scheme. He was a read and react guy, so he's kind of waiting. He's kind of taken to the penetrating, get through and create chaos.
Yeah, I really like Graham. I think he's going to play a big role in year one as well. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a lot to ask of any rookie coming in to play such a large role, but I think he's capable of doing it. I mean, I know we didn't see Graham in the second preseason game, right? But that first week, he was out there with the starters who played 100% of the snaps through those first two drives. And, it was only 13 snaps, so you can't take away a ton from that, especially for a defensive lineman. Like Kevin Stefanski says, it often takes time for these rookie defensive linemen to find their footing in the NFL. But I think one thing that really helps with that is getting plenty of reps, which I absolutely expect to see from Graham this season once we kick off week one. And he's really interesting because he really thrived as a run defender and a pass rusher during his college career. And that's, I think, what makes his potential so exciting for me is that he being such a well-rounded prospect coming out, if he's able to develop into that well-rounded player at the NFL level, even if it's not year one, like that's a big win for the Browns and their defensive line. I think he could be a really good player for a long time here. So nice to see that they're willing to rely on him early, and I think that's going to continue for the entire season.
How good do you think this Browns defense as a whole can be? With Emerson out and Ward's nursing he's a little banged up. There's some concerns in the secondary, but Schlesinger, he looks like he's the real deal. How good can this defense be?
Yeah, look, I think there's potential there. I'd say they're no worse than average, right? I think middle of the pack, as long as you have Myles Garrett, is really the floor. So that's good. If Schlesinger ends up being, an impact player in the middle of the defense, that's another win. If Mason Graham is a force at defensive tackle, obviously another win there. The main thing for me, like you said, it's the health of the defensive backs, right? This seems like a recurring issue every year where there's players with potential but they just can't seem to stay healthy, and that kind of hurts their coverage ability quite a bit. Obviously, Martin Emerson, like you said, already out. Denzel Ward banged up. Greg Newsome, I feel like you would know better than I would. I can't remember if he was dealing with something as
Yeah,
well. And yeah,
banged up
and Grant
shoulder,
Delpit, shoulder
shoulder,
injury. Okay,
and he's
so yeah.
coming back. But again, you know how that goes. These guys are, you got to put your nose in there and tackle guys that are big.
Yeah, and it's definitely a problem, right? It's something to keep an eye on, and Grant Delpit too. Like he's missed time in the past, so him not being able to stay on the field is always going to be a concern. But I think he's good enough to be a really good safety in the NFL and help anchor that defense a little bit too. And look, we'll see, how some of the newer acquisitions do as well. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, former first rounder on the edge. Can he surprise at all? Ronnie Hickman playing a bigger role this year at safety. Mohamed Diabate, I think they like at linebacker. So all these kind of unproven guys who have potential, we just haven't seen it yet. So for now, I'm treating the Browns kind of as a middle of the pack group, but I think they can be better than that. Are you guys much more optimistic than that, I guess?
Yeah, again, it's based on if the line does, and the line's been fantastic. If they create
Mhm.
the type of chaos they have been in joint practices and that, it saves everybody. You know what I mean? Lesser time to throw means secondary isn't as exposed.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, again, just having Myles Garrett creates by himself creates such a high floor for the team, and then everybody else that's been able to contribute. I think there's definitely potential there for sure.